Welcome, everybody, to another exciting edition of Game Day. I am your host, as always, Scotty Cashin. We've got a very interesting week for you this week. We're going to discuss our college football fantasy league, and we're going to switch over and discuss our NFL fantasy league. And we're going to have a little bit of a discussion with another one of our analysts, Greg Lindsay, here in a little bit on the show. So let's go ahead and get cracking with a weekly recap of our first week in college football. You had the Big Cats facing the Volunteers, which was an interesting matchup a lot of people were looking forward to. The Big Cats won 129 to the Tennessee Vols 108. Then you had the Georgia Commanders facing Doggy, and the Commanders about beat up on the Dogs 143 to 107. You had the JK Liberty Dogs facing the Certified Headbusters, and the Headbusters beat the Liberty Dogs well by 248 to 118. Then you had the UGA Dogs facing the Demon Ducks number 2, and that was a close one. That is the closest matchup we had the entire week. UGA Dogs was 185 or 89 to the Ducks 185. That was very, very close. Very close. Very close week. This week, you have got this week, you have got the Demon Ducks taking on the Tennessee Volunteers, Certified Headbusters taking on the Georgia Commanders, and you've got Doggy versus Big Cats and JK Liberty Dogs versus the UGA Dogs. So we're going to take this moment to let our other analyst, Greg, jump in. How you doing this afternoon, Greg?
Very good. How you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. What did you think of the first week of college football?
It was very interesting. I enjoyed it. I'm waiting on the second week. Really waiting on week 5.
You and Ken really had a close one this week.
Yeah, I thought I was going to pull it off. I think I lost by only a few points.
Just a couple. About 3 or 4, because it was 189 to 185. You and Ken had the closest score of everybody this week. It was very impressive.
That's good.
How
y'all doing this evening?
Pretty good. Did you any other interesting matchups you saw in our college football league this week that kind of surprised you?
Not really. We're just getting started. So I'm interested to see how the season progressed. I did notice that a lot of the smaller schools, them guys put up a lot of points.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that too. Arizona and a few others really helped Big Cats in demolishing the Volunteers, which was good.
Yep.
Volunteers put up a pathetic score this week. We're not very happy with the 108 in our camp, but we'll come back this week and we'll destroy the Ducks. That's who we're matched up against this week. So
you're matched up against who?
The Ducks.
Which Ducks?
The Demon Ducks.
Oh, I'm not called the Demon Ducks.
That's what your team name is in college football.
You don't know your own. I thought it was something else.
You don't know your own team name?
Oh, I was thinking about the pro game.
But let's take a look at the power rankings for, let's see. Hang on. Hold on just a minute. Let me get this. This is the week 1 power rankings for college 2K24 college football league. This week is gone off of points. That is why you see the Ducks, who is 0-1, up there in the number 3 spot. right behind the UGA Dogs. Very cut and dry this week. Headbusters #1 with their 248 score. The Dogs 189 and the Ducks 185 makes up the top three. The Georgia Commanders coming in at #4 with their 143 points. Then you had the Big Cats, the Liberty Dogs, the Volunteers, and Doggy at the very bottom with a measly 107 this week. Hopefully, Dan can improve.
Well, that's Dan.
He had I think the biggest thing is like with me, there was a couple of strange occurrences. Like, I don't think nobody predicted Florida State to perform like they did.
No.
That was pathetic, and that really hurt my defense.
Then you got that pathetic LSU performance.
Very pathetic.
Kind of let the SEC down.
Yes, they did.
Let a Big Ten team beat them.
It was very, very strange to say the least. I'm kind of surprised by it. But while I got you on here, we're going to jump on over to the NFL side of the show. Right. I know we've only had one game in the NFL league this year, which you really blew. You're blowing your opponent away at the moment.
We got a game tonight also. Well, it's already started, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. This is just a couple. Look at a little bit of the scores for the football NFL league right now. You've got the Tennessee Vols, which is my team, beating Dan's team 29-94. Of course, you see Patrick Mahomes and Pacho's my two top performers, and of course, Dan doesn't have nobody performed yet because he did not have no Chiefs or Ravens. You've got the Bone Crushers beating the Old Timers 3.4-0, which is very interesting. You've got Big Macs winning 10-0 over the Parrot Heads, and you've got A-Town, which is your team in the NFL league, Greg, killing the Georgia Dogs and Thomas.
40. Oh, is that Thomas's team?
That is Thomas's team right there.
Man, did they even show up?
That's kind of interesting. I mean, it seems like you've got Thomas's number in football and baseball this year.
It seems that way.
I'm sure you're enjoying that very much so.
Yes.
And this is the power rankings for the NFL league. This is going by ESPN. The NFL commissioner has not put out his official commissioner power rankings yet for this week. I'm sure that will come on for next week's show. You've got according to ESPN, you've got the Old Timers at #1, the Parrot Heads at #2, the Bone Crushers at #3, Georgia Dogs 4, A-Town 5, Boxers and Breeds 6, Vols 7, and Big Macs 8. Something that's very interesting to look at is the #1 ranked team in this year's league is the same team that finished the league #1 last year and took the NFL championship, Ken Kaepernick and the Old Timers.
Huh.
So that's very interesting. Different new year, different team, still ranked #1. What's interesting is the Tennessee Vols, who finished #2 last year in the NFL league, is all the way at the bottom at #7 with the Big Macs. That's very interesting.
Yes, it is.
I'm surprised that I'm not right up there with Ken, and I'm surprised that the bottom 3 teams is Dan, me, and Tammy. That kind of surprised me when I seen that because we were all toward the top last year. But from looking at the draft and a few other things, Greg, did you see anything really interesting from the NFL side?
As far as what? The draft or the
draft, how the first game went. That's from that perspective.
The draft went off pretty good, except for a couple of issues. But the first game was a good game last night. It come down to that toe tap at the end of the game.
I seen that, and I seen
And if he would
also
have wore white cleats, he might have got away with it.
I seen also where it looked like they flagged the Ravens for illegal formation, but when you go back and look at the picture, there was nothing wrong with their formation.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was at Kansas City.
So,
Kansas City, home field advantage.
well, people say the same thing about Kansas City as they say about Bama. So,
Not really in Bama. It's actually Tennessee when
Bama's
they go into
paying
that stadium.
Bama's paying their refs. That's going to
Ah,
be usual. But Greg, I just want to thank you for being on the show tonight.
no problem. I enjoyed it.
We look forward to having you back next week, and we look forward to having you on the show for baseball, the bullpen here in just a little bit with Thomas.
All righty.
Have a
We'll be
great
there.
night.
You too. Thank you. Gold Tide.
Go Vols.
Where are the Vols going?
#1, baby.
Good night.
Have a good night, Greg.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, that's been Greg Lindsay with his side of the analyst part, looking at some of the interesting things of the draft and a few other things this week. As I said, look forward later tonight for the bullpen, which is got a very playoff tune to it because we're right in the middle of the baseball playoffs. So as always, I'm your host for Game Day, Scott. Everybody have a great evening. Have a great Saturday tomorrow. Everybody in a great college football Saturday and a good Sunday. Have a great night.